The reason why we are supporting that is because we believe it's the most effective manner to scale up plastic circularity, as I explained at the intro, towards achieving net zero vision. Is an allocation model that will be able to utilize current existing infrastructure, large assets, is a model that enables trustful claims because we are supporting mandatory third-party certification according international recycle standards. And so this will guarantee that fair level play field among all the players is done. That's the opinion that we have on this matter. And we want to basically finalize as well with the fact that I think it was obvious because of the chat we have so far right now, but I just want to make sure that all of us, we are aware of this. The decision that will be taken legally in Europe about which mass balance allocation model will come will determine the future of the plastics industry in Europe to make it or break it, the net zero ambition and circular goals. It's as simple and as crucial as that. Just want to make sure that we are all at least understanding the importance of the debate that we have today and these days in Europe.
Peter, is anything you'd like to add?
No, I think in the interest of time, I think we can continue. Maybe the only comments that I would make is from listening carefully to all of us, I think the dialogue between our different views is very important because sometimes we don't listen carefully enough to what we all are saying, right? I think the intentions overall need to be, as Rob also said, what is the zoom out and the zoom in perspective on the transformation of this industry that we actually have as an ambition, right? If we look at the global plastic system, I think it is fair to say that as it is today, it cannot continue to grow. And I think we can all agree on that. Now, the next question is, how can we start changing that system? And that change involves multiple levers, and it will not be solved by one single element of a PPWR or only by mechanical recycling or only by chemical recycling. It's really about also the reuse systems kicking in. So all of these things need to work together to do a transformation on a global scale as we think we need it. And with that, I think we don't have really a lot of disagreements in between of what we are trying to achieve. It is the way going there that is often a bit questioned. But I think if we start negotiating and finding these systems, there's a good way that we can find a system with, like Volk Arne was saying, clauses that allow us to have a look at the evolution of the system and then say, here, now we need to adjust it and work it a little bit more in a better way. But this is a learning process. We will not be able to define very clearly, rigidly our path to net zero today because there will be a lot of things happening in the next 25 years. I think that is a little bit the spirit that I hope we can develop in Europe to find a good solution for the mass balance discussion.
Thanks, Peter. So, well, at the beginning of the webinar, we promised that we would dedicate more time than usual for your audience questions. And indeed, we've had more audience questions than usual, so I think that's a nice match. So at this juncture, let's switch to the Q&A section. And I'm going to begin with a kind of very fundamental question. In fact, the questioner has made it clear that they don't associate with this statement, but I'm going to put this to Felix. How do you respond to the accusation that mass balance is cheating and deceiving the consumer? And as I said, they've added, they don't actually subscribe to that view, but they do hear it a lot in parts of the industry and from certain stakeholders.
So that's a great one in a way. I really believe that through chemical recycling and the rules of the game that we need through mass balance is about doing the right thing. The question is like, are we doing the right thing? And I really believe that we are really doing the right thing. No matter our efforts as brand owners to reduce the packaging that we don't need, that was mentioned by Lauriane, the efforts to introduce more usable packaging, we will still need single-use packaging. And as part of this single-use packaging, we'll still have plastic packaging. So if we want this plastic packaging to be circular, chemical recycling is a solution together with mechanical recycling. And we need it there to be in place. And when we look more broadly and in a systemic way, the chemical recycling, what it's doing, it's taking waste plastic, which we know that today with the linear economy that we are operating, with the waste pollution is a real problem. So we will get the waste and we will transform them to plastics again, so that we don't depend anymore on oil, but we make waste to make oil, recycled oil in a way, and we'll make the plastic again. So the two challenges of the linear economy of waste pollution and dependency on oil when it comes to plastic, we are definitely tackling them with the chemical recycling. So it's definitely about the right way, the right thing to do. The challenge that we face as brand owners, and it was one of Lauriane's points, it's yes, we cannot prove today that packaging that will contain chemically recycled material, the chemically recycled material will be in the packaging, because the way that it's working, the mass balance, it's like, I don't know, Dow can run it in their factory, let's say in February, and I'm going to buy the resin in April. So my resin in April probably won't have recycled material, but we have still done the right thing. So I really find it not fair in a way for the companies that they use chemically recycled material being blocked on not making the claim. Yes, okay, with the mechanically recycled material, you can make this claim and you can prove that you have it in the packaging, but we are still doing the right thing, because Dow, it's not going to buy oil anymore, but it's going to substitute this oil with pyrolysis oil and provide us the necessary recycled material.
Thanks, Felix. Yeah, and I would add to that there's a whole swathe of different industries where the same sort of principles are being applied without so much controversy, and one that springs to mind is renewable content or renewable electricity. You know, you're never going to have 100% renewable if you're a consumer, but it's a way of benchmarking, isn't it? Let's take a next question then. It's another fairly fundamental one. I'll put this to first of all to Rob, and maybe Anna would like to add something afterwards. The question is, how can we measure the chemical recycling impact on the environment, for example, greenhouse gas emissions, and how does that compare to mechanical recycling?
Well, I think that greenhouse gas emissions are one of the primary ways that we often do look at the environmental impact of different recycling technologies. There's been numerous life cycle assessments published on chemical recycling versus virgin resin production versus mechanical recycling. I think all of us agree that mechanical recycling is preferred versus chemical recycling, but obviously today plastic recycling rates are relatively low. And that's why we're looking at chemical recycling as a way to improve plastic recycling rates as a whole. So if we could mechanically recycle all plastic waste, we would. But when we're looking to ways to expand plastic circularity, that's why we're looking at chemical recycling. And so we need to continue to do life cycle assessments and look at not just greenhouse gas emissions, but water use, solid waste, fossil energy consumption, etc. But life cycle assessment and looking at all the typical life cycle impact categories.
Thank you. Anna, anything you'd like to add to that?
Yeah, first of all, fully agree to what has Rob fully said. So in general, I'm a very pragmatic person. So every gram which don't go to incineration rather than go to a recycling technology is a good one from my point of view. So there are a lot of ways to measure it, but I think there is a given thing. It's better to recycle it chemically than send it to incineration. So that is our point.
That's actually a good question. Let me answer first with the life cycle analysis that has been done also by Dow now. It will be published shortly, but there is good data already by the Joint Research Council of the European Commission out there. There is good data out there, as Rob mentioned, from the Consumer Goods Forum and several other LCAs that actually, as already was said, put on an LCA level where you do comparative analysis of the emissions of a given system, you basically see that incineration has the highest emission as a waste treatment option, and then chemical recycling is significantly better than that, and mechanical recycling is again better than it. So that is not an answer to your question, I realize that, but the reason why I'm giving this answer is the following. If you look at the GHG protocol and many other dimensions, there is not a common methodology, neither in ISO, of how you should calculate a product carbon footprint of a circular product. So that is why we go to life cycle analysis, because how do you do the accounting of an avoided emission in incineration when you want to calculate a product carbon footprint of, let's say, cradle to gate that we would do for any virgin plastic to the gates that we sell to our customers, which is what our customers actually ask for, right? So in that respect, these accounting systems are still being developed. You can take in LCA different approaches. One is that you include the burden of incineration as end of life as to your fossil system, and then say, I don't have that incineration in my circular system, then the carbon footprint is lower than the end of life in incineration. So that's a benefit similar to the LCA. If you use a credit approach, which we are not advocating for as Dow, you would subtract that avoided emission from your product carbon footprint, and that could lead to negative numbers that we also do not really find credible to pass along the value chain. So that system is still being worked out. But what the LCAs tell us is, as Rob already said, that the carbon emissions along a linear system are far higher than the ones in a circular system using chemical recycling.